Hello, and welcome to this Divine Partnership Coaching video. This is going to be Path of the Emperor Step 13, and it's going to be about Phoenix moments, which I think I'll do a separate video about just in general, and we'll keep this one pretty short. I wanted to do Phoenix moments for you Emperors and Divine Masculines because at this stage, you're likely beginning to notice there's something different happening with you that wasn't before. Like, you probably were used to cycles of fighting and, you hold it in and then you blow up and then you are fine and then you go back to doing the same cycle. But now you're starting to get to a point to where the emotions that you were able to push away or compartmentalize or ignore or rationalize for, that they're building up. As you start to awaken and you start to recognize your value and start standing in your truth and owning your BS, you're not going to be the same person that you were, sort of. You're actually, ironically, becoming the person that you are as you allow the layers to pull away. But oftentimes when we've been locked in karmic cycles or we've been allowing people to mistreat us and not speaking our truth, we build up these layers of armor and pain and trauma that we think that will protect us from any more pain or trauma, but actually it just manifests more of it in our lives until we get to these moments. And what happens is that all the emotions from all the times past to current that you have been put in certain situations, usually where your boundaries are being violated, but it can be different things. It could just be relationships that continue to start quick and fizzle out fast. It could be jobs that seem to fall apart quickly. It could be all sorts of things that happen. Either way, you start to get a buildup over time where suddenly you feel like you need to make a change. You might feel like there's a rush of energy coming at you, a mixture of overwhelm and anxiety and anger and frustration and a yearning for something so much greater and different, and you might be thinking new thoughts along with old thoughts, and you're kind of at that threshold where you're still being the old person that you were, allowing things to go karmically, and being the new person, being able to stand in your truth and hold a boundary without feeling like a jerk or being really reactive and judgmental towards the people that have been helping you learn those karmic lessons by providing that contrast in those situations. Now, the best thing that I can tell you is let it happen. I know that's like the worst thing in the world to say, too, because it feels like you're literally going to burn up. Like, most people wouldn't say that quite at first. You just feel really overwhelmed, and it feels like you've got so much noise going on in your life and so many things happening that you just feel crazy. But if you think about it, even though you're fine, and it's not going to be the end of the world and you're not going to melt, it feels like that. It feels like something is going to explode in you, and sometimes we do. Sometimes we get really big reactive moments, and that happens. But if we learn to just sit with those feelings, cry, scream, yell, and preferably find a friend that understands that you're going through some emotional turbulence and that you're shifting and transforming on a whole nother level so that they can be there with you. One of the most helpful things I've found for myself and for people that have been called to work with me is having someone there, or being the person who just says, you know what, you're not going to affect my energy at all. You let it all out. You can be mean, you could be nice, you could be sad, you can cry, whatever it is. We're not going to try to fix it right now. You're just going to feel however it is that you feel, and you're going to feel valid in however it is that you feel, whether you're right or wrong. And you're going to allow those emotions to wash through you, and you're going to allow them, as they wash through you, to take with them the layer of armor that you had on before you allowed them to flow through you. Now, I know in particular for masculines, especially masculines who were born male body and grew up as men, that it is particularly difficult to allow yourself to feel emotions, but it's so important. It's so important, and the ways, unfortunately, you are owed like a million apologies if you grew up being taught not to acknowledge your emotions, or being made to feel that your thoughts and dreams and things were not valid and were not worthy of being recognized and upheld and respected. And especially if you were taught to keep things in and just keep your head down and keep doing what you're told, because that's not fair and it's not right. And unfortunately, these Phoenix moments are kind of a product of that. But the good news is, as you allow yourself to surrender, and look at step 12 if you haven't watched it yet, as you allow yourself to surrender to these feelings, you allow yourself to feel them, you allow yourself to release them, especially to friends who can hold space for you, and anybody who is violating said boundaries, and anybody that you feel like, well, the first thing that comes to my thought is your divine feminine. Give her more credit, or him. Give them more credit. They understand and probably have already started going through this. They're probably a little bit ahead of you, to be honest, in terms of learning how to sit with these emotions, and actually would probably quite appreciate you showing them that you feel like they are a safe space for you to express emotions that we often hide from other people, and that includes anger. That includes sadness and depression and overwhelm and things like that. Allow them to be that person for you if you can. And if they are not in a good place for that, or whoever your partner is not a good place for that, and you don't have a particular friend that you can vent to that isn't going to like make it worse and try to say, oh no, you got to do something about it, be tit for tat or righteous or things like that, then journal it. Do a voice memo. Talk to a tree. Go get counseling if you're up for it. Whatever it is, make time and space for yourself to go through these transformations, to really allow yourself to process these emotions, because the more you hold them in, the more they become that armor, and the more that armor attracts more of the situations that are making you feel this way. So really, embrace the Phoenix moments. Let yourself burn up. You're really not going to actually burn up, and what's only thing that's burning up is the old parts of you that didn't love yourself enough to not allow yourself to be treated that way. If you have any questions, or you'd like someone who can be that listening ear, please don't hesitate to reach out in the comments, an email, whatever way that you'd like. Help is always around the corner once you're receptive to it. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your likes and subscribes.